What's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday, or whatever day it is when you're watching or listening to this. Welcome to With Her Two Hands, the weekly podcast where we celebrate women rocking it in the trades, all across different types of trades. Women are very underrepresented, and this podcast is all about sharing their stories, celebrating with them, shining a light on them, and showing how awesome women can be when given a chance to do whatever it is they want to do. I'm your host, Bogey. You may know me from the TV show All Girls Garage, but I'm a mechanic by trade and passionate about bringing more women into the automotive industry and all of the trades. And tonight I am being joined by our guest this evening is a woman who is equally passionate about bringing more diversity to the trades. You've heard me talk lots about how women are very underrepresented. But let's be honest, it's not just women. The trades are heavily dominated by men and heavily dominated by white men. And so we are collectively looking to increase that diversity all across the board and see all different types of folks represented within the awesome industries that we know and we love. We have a huge trades deficit in this country. And so it baffles me that we're not willing to look at just about anybody who wants to join the industries that we're talking about here. So I'm very excited to be joined by tonight's guest. I think our conversation is going to be fantastic. So definitely stay tuned to the end. I do have to do a quick thank you to our sponsor. This podcast series is brought to you in part by Drive Time. If you're not familiar with them, definitely go check them out. They are all over the country and they are a used car seller, but they also rehabilitate all of their cars in-house, which means they have lots of folks that they employ and help find training and help find their home within the automotive industry, whether it's body and paint or whether it's mechanical, you name it, they've got a place for you if you're interested in exploring and just getting your foot in the door in the automotive industry. Go check them out. But without further ado, let's jump into tonight's conversation and meet tonight's guest. Hello, lovely.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Not much. How are you? I like your
Turn
background.
this thing, turn that off a little bit. Hey, what's going on?
Not much. Welcome. Thank you
Hey,
so much for joining us.
no doubt, no doubt.
I'm
No
I'm
doubt. You
digging that
asked, I'm coming.
background back there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Amazon, really
Nice.
dope. Amazon got nice backgrounds. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, can I be like real here for a second? So I've been so tired of this like plain black, like plain white background. So I did the
Right.
Amazon search for backgrounds. And can I just show you? I spent the last hour ironing this because I was on the same track as you. It's black brick.
Right.
But then I get it all ironed, and then I realize that I don't have anything to hang it with because I don't have any push pins or nails in the house because I'm an idiot. So there you go. So you're cooler than me. You got your background up, and I didn't.
I didn't even iron it. I just put it up, so it's all.
Well, it looks
It's
dope.
all
I
good.
dig it. I dig it. All right.
Yeah.
Before we get into just chit chatting, why don't you introduce yourself to the fine folks at home?
So I'm Patrice Frazier. I am a master welder, one of the only Black female welding instructors right now on the East Coast. I did like projects all around this country, outside of this country. So
Wow.
right now I'm just trying to give the gift away. I'm trying to get more people, into it, representation, and kind of prepare them for what's going to happen when they do, decide to hop up in our industry. So that's
Yeah.
what yeah, that's who I am right now. For right now,
Um, for
working.
now. I know we're always a work in progress, though, aren't we?
Right.
I've been
Absolutely.
following you for a while, and I'm super stoked that finally was able to get you on here. But before we dive into too much about current endeavors and kind of where we see room for growth and opportunity, I know we want to keep it positive because I love the
Right.
automotive industry. You love welding, like we love our industries. We want to see more people join it. But let's be real, they're not perfect industries. They have their flaws, they have their problems. And like, I want to keep tonight focused on like how we can, where the room for improvement is, what are some action items that we would love to see the industry take, and like what we can do as individuals in it, you and I, what we can ask other folks in the industry to do to improve things. But before we get into all of that, I want to know more about you and your journey, because you've been a welder for like a minute, right? How long have you been in the industry?
I think I'm coming up on like 14, 15 years now. So
Nice.
it's been a little minute. Yeah, I started welding just a kid. I mean, I think I wasn't a kid, I was grown. I was 24 years old. I read the newspaper. That was in 2009. Um in the New York Times, and it was in like the New York Post too, that they needed 200,000 welders then in 2009. So by the time 2010
Yes.
came around, I was certified in, like, of course, like the basics of welding. You know what I mean? Like MIG, TIG, stick, little bit of flux. You know what I'm saying? So I just went back to school, kept learning, and then I just left my home and just been on the road ever since. So this is my first time kind of being back home after these 13 years of just like kind of relaxing and taking it in. So that's how I started
Nice.
welding. Yeah.
So was it originally strictly there's a need, oh my gosh, I see this article, all these articles saying that there's lots of needs for welders, and so I'm going to pursue that path because where there's a need, there's opportunity? Or like was there something about welding that drew you in, like, yeah, that's like that sounds exciting and fun? Like what about it? Because there's lots of industries that need people, right?
Right.
Let's be real. Why welding?
So what drew me into welding is that it was like a monopoly of men, definitely white men. So I was like, shit, if they doing it, I need to get a part of it, because I mean they're like, leading in our, in our lives. These are the lead guys. So I was like, yo, I need to be a part of it. I need to figure out why I don't know about welding at 24 and how I can become the best at it. So
I love it.
and
So you were kind
fixing America and fixing the
of
infrastructures. So with me being a wanderer and the traveler that I am, I'm always looking at infrastructures. I'm always looking at certain fixtures and architects. As a little girl, so I was like, well, man, I could do that.
okay.
I can help some people if I lay down these nice little wells. I could save some lives. So yeah,
Okay, so if there was something you were like aware of in like beforehand, like you were seeing stuff, and then when you saw the
oh
need,
yeah.
it kind of clicked and read like it just kind
Yeah,
of fit.
always
But
been a builder. Yeah, always been a
nice,
builder. Yeah, always
nice.
been a builder. I built a 2-story clubhouse. Shout out to my cousins and my grandmom and everybody that allowed me to do all that. But yeah, 9 years old, so I always been a builder. So yeah.
Oh, seriously? When you were like that young, you were building stuff?
I had a 2-story clubhouse. Yep. And my grandma let me use the Christmas lights so I could have some electricity in there and stuff. So yeah.
That's awesome. So your like natural curiosity and desire to build and fix and make was supported and encouraged when you were younger.
Yeah, I mean, definitely if you got a clubhouse and like people can come over. So yeah, I think, yeah. Yeah. I think that was it for me right there.
No, that is pretty awesome to hear. But I love, like, I feel like you and I have some similarity in that, like, when I first got into automotive, like, I fell in love with being a mechanic kind of after the fact. But when I first got into it, it was like, this is all dudes. And
Yeah.
like, and like, so I was getting into it out of the challenge of it because I was like the little girl reading Volkswagen magazines and seeing dude, and then seeing like model girls in bikinis modeling in front of the cars, and like that's what made me want to get into it, was kind of out of spite. And then once I
Mm,
got into it, I was like, oh, I love this. I fell in love. Was
right.
it a similar sort of thing for you?
No, because I didn't know anything about welding like that. I just knew the money that they made. I knew that they traveled. I was 24, 23, 24 at that time. So, man, I never even seen a welding machine, and if I did, I didn't recognize it for 24 years.
Yeah.
So, um,
Wow.
really just reading that article really just sparked something in me, and I just never turned back, So when I got into the class though, and the classes, and now I'm on site at these, now I was like, okay, this is exactly what they said it would be, but I was fine with that. Yeah.
So how did you get your actual start? You went from not knowing what a welder was, seeing this need, and then going to take classes. Like, how did you figure out where to go to take classes, what to do? Like, for somebody else who may be like just in maybe in the same position as you, like, I don't know where to start. How did you get started?
So once I read once I read the article, I actually took my neighbor's dirt bike and went down and actually rode the dirt bike down to the school and asked them, like, is this right? I took the newspaper with me, and I'm like, hey, is this right? Do they make this type of money? So once I went down to it was called CC Tech then. It's CC Tech now. So once I went down there and they made sure, like, yeah, welding, this is exactly what it is, I was like, sign me up. So I got signed up, I think around in the summertime, around this time, around my birthday. Okay. And then I was in their fall class. So it's very simple. It's easier now because of the internet and because of these things right here. But before, you just had to do a little bit more research, but now you could just find your local tech school, talk to the counselors, see what's going on, see where you fit at. And if not, they can always reach out to one of us and we'll figure something out. But go down to your local school, get the information, read about it. If it fit for you, get in there. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
How long was the program that you went through?
I think it was a year. I think I took advanced classes on top of it. So it was like a year, maybe. I was working at night because I was still like part-time. So I was still like working at like Walmart or whatever I was doing at that point in time, or nothing. Probably doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? But I think I went half the year full time. I did the other half of the year like part time or something like that. So
nice.
Yeah.
And what was the school experience like for you? Was it a large program, small program, all male, I presume? Or
definitely
maybe
all
not?
male. Yeah, when I walked in the class, they thought I was there for like culinary arts or some shit like that. So I thought that was hilarious because I don't like to cook. So I was like, wow, I'm about to cook your asses up in these booths real quick. You know what I'm saying? So it was all guys. It was all guys. They was cool cats though. You know what I'm saying? Like they wasn't it wasn't against or pressed against anything. They just like, oh, okay, cool. It's a chick here, let's weld. So the environment from my school was very welcoming.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah.
So like the curiosity and like, oh, there's a girl here, but not beyond that. Like there was nobody tried to like convince you to take a different program. Like,
no. We actually, it was a good time. It was a good time, and we was actually some good welders. It was very competitive. With it. So, yeah.
Okay. How about when you get out of school? How was it finding a job in welding? We know there's like a ton of need for jobs for welders, and then you get out of school. Was it easy to find a job?
No, it wasn't. Like it wasn't
right? Like, what's that about?
Okay, like and not even a little bit. You know what I mean? In 2010, let's say, when I graduated around this time, like May. You know what I'm saying? I graduated, so back in those little bit a few years back, they wasn't looking for little black girls in unions. They wasn't looking for females on work sites. There wasn't like a woman empowerment type of movement going on in. So what I had to do is move with the money. So I did the same thing I did with the welding. I read the newspapers, but now I'm starting to read like newspaper with my grandmother because she is just like a dope being. So now I'm looking at infrastructures being built around America. So I just started moving. So I moved wherever the infrastructure were, like wherever it was, I was there working and doing contracts. So yeah, it took me maybe like a year and a half to kind of like get in the field of like, going to different cities, going to different reading contracts, because that's another thing they don't teach you in school is how to read the contract. They never even ask you if you can read while, when you're in school. So that should be like, So yeah, reading contracts was
Interesting.
like, yeah, reading contracts was a major thing and making sure everything was cool. But no, I just moved with the money. After that year was done and I kind of like stayed around. And I think I was working at Walmart overnight, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm gone. I'm gone. So
Yeah.
I moved straight to the South. They said the best welders was in the South or in the West. The South was the closest. So I moved straight to Georgia. Yeah.
Interesting. I applaud your like creativity in trying to find something to find a position and find a job. I'm curious what kind of responses you were getting when you were applying for jobs initially in the New Jersey, Philly area. Because you were Jersey or you were Philly? Because you're
No, I was I was putting in applications for everywhere in the tri-state.
everywhere.
Yeah. I was, rushing up to like, everywhere, and as I look back, maybe I just wanted to leave anyway. So maybe that's just really what it was. Like like these contracts up here was cool. These little, not these little mom and pop shops, anything like that. But I was more so of I want to do a big project. I didn't want to leave for no reason, So
Okay.
it was scarce up here, very scarce up here. But yeah, welders
Were you
needed
be
them too. So
Were you being like turned down for jobs? Like were people saying like, "Oh, we just don't have anything available"? Were people being like, "No, we're not interested in hiring a woman"?
yeah,
Like
I didn't even get a call for them to even tell me like how I don't know. They just never called me back. So I put in applications. I just never heard nothing back. Until this little company in Atlanta called me and I left.
so
Yeah.
I'm
And
curious
I
if
left, hold on, and I left
Go
for
ahead.
$12, $13.
Oh
Mm.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Because
was
I was
starting was
yeah.
see that in and of itself is like a gripe I have with the trades. Like I got to go to school for this, I got to get certified in this, and then
Mm-hmm.
my starting salary is 12, $13 an hour. Are you kidding me? Like
Absolutely.
mechanics, we tend to start slightly higher than that, maybe like 15 or 16, but we have to buy $20,000 tools just to get started.
That
And
part,
like
right?
and then we wonder why we don't have people in the trades. It's like, well, could we maybe like pay them what they deserve? I
Yeah.
mean, the money's there eventually, right? Like you can testify to that. It is there eventually.
The money is definitely
But
there.
that starting
Ooh.
point is painful.
Yeah, it is, and I wish I would have just paid attention a little bit more to TIG welding, and if I would have did my research a little bit more and just study, other than just chasing the money, I would have just focused more so on TIG welding. So these days, they have more options, so that you kind of see what is needed in the welding industry and what is what is paying. So I just was out there free willy nilly where the money at, I'm out. So and I only had a year underneath my belt. So I mean, what do
Yeah.
I really expect with a year, coming in? So
That's fair. That's fair. Did you so you went into a lot of like industrial welding and structural and that kind of stuff. Was that always the draw from like when you were younger and wanting to build clubhouses? Like were you always drawn to structural? Did you consider doing other types of welding
no,
at
oh
any
yeah,
point?
I always like the tedious. I love the engines. I love, the handrails, the glass. That's what I really was into. But the structures were just so like mind blowing when you come onto the site and there's nothing there, and you there for 3 months and you slowly see this thing like form. It's amazing. So I'm actually definitely a TIG girl. And that's not really big structural right now. It's never really been. But I'm also, I'm really like but I just love welding. How about that?
I love
Big shit, little shit, you know what I'm saying? In the back of your house stuff, I just love it. Long as it's safe,
it.
I'm welding it.
I appreciate that caveat as long as it's safe. So,
Yeah.
so I'm curious, Patrice, you've worked in lots of different areas of the country at this point. Have you experienced like different attitudes in these different parts of the country towards women, towards Black women, or people of color in general? Like, have you noticed differences within the welding industry in these different parts of the country?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I didn't grow up like with a lot of outside, like racism or sexism and stuff like that, or whatever, all the isms, So once I
Right.
got into the welding industry, that's what kind of really taught me about, everybody, ain't really down with what you down with, but they need the skill, So yeah, I experienced a lot of racism, a lot of harsh words and getting fired a lot. You know what I'm saying? That's what made me such a badass welder, because I got fired so much because, companies, instead of just telling you, they want to use you for this project, they would contract you out and they'd be like, well, we just need you for the whole contract. But really, they just want you to do like the tedious things like the TIG welding or whatever they need you for. And then maybe if they like you, or that's usually not the case. Usually they just be like, hey, yo, today's your last day. You need to take your little ass home. So yeah, it was very cutthroat. Very cutthroat.
Interesting.
Very cutthroat. And would I blame it on me being a Black female? Maybe a little bit, but I just think a lot of people are just unhappy. I think the world just need a little bit more self-love, and then I think it will be a little bit better. But I can't just blame everything on racism. But a lot of people just is miserable as shit. Like that's just really it. So yeah,
you're not lying. I mean, but I honestly, if we're gonna if we want to dig into that,
let's go.
I feel like those are two sides of the same coin to a degree. Like you said, the world will be a better place if there was a little bit more self-love.
Absolutely.
I feel like we'd have less of the isms if there was more self-love too, because so many of the isms, sexism, racism, homophobia, which isn't an ism, but it's an ism. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like all of that, right? Like all of that stuff stems out of fear.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and when you have more self-love, you don't have the need to put others down regardless of who they are or what they look like.
Right. You wouldn't waste the time or the energy. You just would look at people as humans. That's how I look at it. I look at people as humans. I'm a human being. I wear these hats and these titles because this is just what I was born in. But I don't go into situations looking for anything to divide me up until they divide me up. You know what I mean? And then here we go with, now you got to sit back and kind of realize, like, is this an unsafe place? You know what I mean? Because people that are, not happy, they do unhappy shit. You know what I'm saying? Anything can pop off just because they're going through whatever they're going through. So, yeah, I definitely experienced a lot of that. I experienced that, I experienced that this year. I don't think it will stop because it's like a 99 point something that they're not going to see another Black female welder. So I'm just like disposable to them,
Have you experienced, I'm curious on the flip side, because sometimes I hear generally white men say oh, well, as a woman, you actually have an advantage because you stand out more, because you're special, because why is my screen all of a sudden doing a disco? Do you see that? I don't know what's happening.
A little bit. Yeah, I do.
Oh my goodness. This might be a really trippy video stream for you.
Man, it's the energy. It's the energy, man. You wanted me on the podcast.
Oh my goodness.
You wanted me on your podcast, B.
I did. This is fascinating, and I don't know what to do about it. So we're just gonna deal with it, and you guys are gonna have some trippy effects.
It look dope. Right. It look dope. Don't worry about
it. What the heck was I saying? Oh my goodness.
Do women have advantages over men?
Oh yeah, I've had people say that, oh, because you're a woman, you get opportunities because you're a woman. I'm like, okay, so there is a certain degree of truth to that, right? Because I stand out. So if I do good work, people know exactly who I am. If I'm the only woman on the field, then they know me. If I do bad work, then I also stand out. But if I do good work, then it can be an advantage. Do you feel, have you ever gotten any advantages? Have you ever felt like it's been an asset, like standing out a little bit?
I mean, I think it's good for their assurance. I think it's good for their company. Having a minority and a Black girl. I mean, it's just good for insurance or something like that. It makes them look not as, as whoever they want to portray to be. But yeah, I definitely have an advantage over a Black man because the Black man is the strongest human alive. So like, yeah, I think whoever's hiring, however they're feeling is how you get hired. Men more so, definitely Black men. I get picked over them all the time.
Interesting.
Because they don't look at me as a threat like that, like a physical threat.
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying? So they look at me like, oh, well, we can kind of control her. She could be controlled. We don't have to worry about it. We could talk to her crazy. It's not going to be a big thing. So yeah, I definitely see the advantages of women being picked over men if the company is on that type of time. If they are just going for the look and not the actual skill. Absolutely.
Interesting. That's a really interesting point that you bring up, that being Black was a disadvantage as a minority, but being a woman actually became an advantage as far as being a person of color, and being female made you less threatening.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hadn't thought about that. That's a really interesting point. Were you always the only Black woman, Black person on site where you were at?
Yeah, my whole career. Really my whole career. It took me 7 years to see another female welder. And that was at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And I waved to her, and I was like so geeked up because I was like, man, I was like almost like I was welding like the actual roof. So like I looked down and I seen this little, her ponytail. So I'm like, oh man, there's a girl. So I rushed down there, and like, I introduced myself, but she is just like, yeah, like she just played me off. But I forgot her name, but she was dope though. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, she was a dope chick. Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right.
Woo!
Apparently, my fancy stuff isn't working. So we're going to go back to the non-fancy stuff. Oh my goodness. I am so sorry, everybody. I'm so sorry. I do not know what's happening. I can fix a car, but I apparently can't handle a microphone. Miss Monica, she is also amazing and has been a guest on With Her Two Hands. So definitely check out her episode. If you've been disrespected at work, how do you handle it, and what do you do to get past it if you have to work with that person to finish a job? Fantastic question.
That was great. You gonna answer? You want me to answer?
Go ahead. This is all about you.
Hey man, protocol, man. You gotta stick to the books. Like women, we're emotional, so we just want to cuss them out or something. But just stick to protocol. Make sure like you stick to your contract, and make sure they're doing their job. And if they're not doing their job, report up the chain. That's it. Don't let it go unnoticed. Don't leave that work site without nobody knowing what's going on. Document it, and get help. That's it. You know what I'm saying? You got to work with them. Just try not to punch them in the throat. How about that?
Good advice all the way around. As much as we want to, right? I mean, that's the thing, right? Like as much as we want to, it's not the most effective means of dealing with things. But I'm curious to dig into that answer a little bit, because I have had the experience of, I try to deal with the person. If that doesn't work, I go over them to the next level of management. And that's blown back at me at one particular place, not always. Thoughts on that? Has that happened to you? How do you handle that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been disrespected in front of like the owners, and been sent home. So my thing is like, hey, man, you're a welder. find another job, like always keep that open, you know what I'm saying? It's always going to be a challenge. No job that you work at is going to be a smooth selling. Somebody in there miserable, so I'll always just make sure I keep like 2-3 jobs, 2-3 contracts where if they start cutting up, I can still, not put my life behind because somebody want to be an asshole. So I always look for, that's why I got so many jobs on my resume, is because you just got to keep it pushing, you got to keep it pushing. Don't let that one person, redirect, your path and your plan. Like stay on your plan and keep it going. Yeah. Hey.
It sounds easy. It's easy to say it. It's not always easy to do it. Have you
Absolutely.
had times where you felt like, oh my gosh, this isn't worth it? This is a lot of struggle. I don't want to do this anymore. And how do you push through those times?
Man, I just look for more money. I look at it like, hey, y'all want to treat me like shit, then I'm gonna go somewhere else. At least they'll pay me more money to be treated like shit. Let's start it over. It's very hard. Even in the Miller interview that you've seen, I started crying. And it wasn't because I was emotional about the questions, it's because the people that was around me, the people that I was working with, they was just being such, just evil that day. Like they wanted to, make an example, out of me in front of these people, you know what I'm saying? And while doing that, they're disrespecting them. So that was my last day. That last that Miller thing, that was my last day in that shop, because it's not gonna go down like that. You know what I'm saying? So as I got older, being in this industry, I just learned how to move a little bit better, and don't let your emotions kind of take over with just one or two people. Even if there are, your supervisor and his board could be like the floor manager or something like that, man, forget them. You know what I'm saying? Like, make sure you just stay, you focus on you and what you got to do. Ain't nothing going to be perfect. Not the money that we're making. It's going to come with some sacrifice, period.
Listening to you, I mean, there's such a place of confidence that like you have to be able to say, like, if you're not going to treat me well, I'm just going to go somewhere else, and know your self-worth. Did you always have that? Were you always that person who just had a really strong sense of self? Where did that come from? Did that grow over time? Tell me where this power comes from in you.
Man, I gotta say, this power in me come from the women that raised me. I was raised by older women, multiple. My great grandma was alive when I was a little girl. So I just was raised by very strong women. So once I got the skill down, I could lay down a bead with my eyes closed. I'm gone. Like, it ain't like once I owned into the skill and I knew that these hands work like that. Yeah, no, that was it. So owning the skill and making sure like you are the best in practicing, and keep and when you go home, read about welding and look up the best welders. You know what I'm saying? That's what I did. So I just always been an informational girl. If it makes sense, I'm with it. Very logical. So this confidence just come from me in my DNA. I don't know.
I love it. I love it. So you have such a fantastic story, and your attitude is so admirable and hard, right? Like, again, I know it's easy to say, it's a different thing to like to do and in practice. So I want to acknowledge, like, I feel like, as a white woman, I feel like I have a little taste of what it's like to be a minority in my industry, right? I've had a taste of what that looks like, but it's a baby taste. And I can't even really imagine what you went up against, and to continue to overcome those struggles, and folks saying whatever they have said to you over the years. I'm sure
some wild ass shit.
I am sure. Like I've had some wild,
Wildin'.
yeah,
You
I've had
know,
a lot of
so
wild
so
stuff said
crazy.
to me.
Like, but I never believed them. So I mean, y'all can say what y'all want to say. You know what I'm saying? So I just looked at it like, okay, so you take me as a threat. And that's kind of weak to me. So once a person, show me any of those isms that we was talking about, oh, you're food to me, because now you're not owning on the skill of me helping the company. Now this is personal. I work for many companies where they didn't even want to give me a shirt like this to wear outside. They used to tell me to take off my hoodie and take off my shirt so people won't see me outside representing their company. So this is why I'm here. So the next female minority, I don't care who you are, like, you got to have representation that you could do it, so hopefully the next girl that comes up, don't have it as rough because I gave them hell while I was here, so that's the point.
Cheers to that. Absolutely. I think a lot of folks from you and my generation, right? You've been in a similar amount of time that I've been in it, and I feel like we had a hard path coming up, but we love our industry anyway, despite the hard path, and it makes us that much more passionate about, like, I want to do something different. I want to make it easier for the next ladies that come up.
Absolutely. I got nieces, I got nephews, now I have, this following now, what I'm saying? So yeah, nah, like I'm going to kick down as many doors as I possibly can, so they can be on a lit path. I don't want them to be on a dirty, in the woods, scary path in this. I want it to be lit and paved and, with butlers and midgets. I don't know, but I want it to be, a smooth path for them. You know what I'm saying? So when they get to into my path, they can actually look back and like keep going. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, no, I want it to be lit for them.
Is that what drew you to teaching? When did you make the transition to becoming a teacher? You're still a doer, you're still doing all sorts of stuff, but you decided to start teaching. Where did that come from, and when did that start?
Man, I finished the Buckhead Martyr Bridge down in Atlanta. And then I went to Tennessee for like a bank or something like that. And I was like, man, I can't take all these contracts. Like, I can't take all these contracts. I have to give the skill away. The Lord gave it to me, and it was a natural skill. So I figure if I could teach as many people, you know what I mean? Like, if this scenario, if my neighbors is making $8 an hour, and I can give them a skill that can give them $20 an hour, maybe they won't rob me, or maybe they don't, go and rob a bank or something for some money. They have a little bit of like, self-confidence about themselves. So I'm looking at it like that. Like, if I can help one household and they can make over 100 grand, you could change communities with this, so that's how I looked at it.
I love that. And you're so right. I feel like there are so many jobs that are accessible, that do provide really great income, that you don't have to go to college for, or graduate school for, or all of these things, which realistically are not options for a lot of folks.
Right.
And so there are these great career paths that a lot of people just don't seem to know about. And I love that you're looking at this as a way to improve the community as a whole, and to give back to your community as a whole, and bring people up with you.
Yeah. And the community don't know about me, the welding industry obviously knows about me, but my community has no idea, because it's not a lot of welders, around for us to even look at. Like I said, with us sitting on only 8% with black welders, period, it's hard to see that, because they see me, they be like, oh, you're a plumber, you're a mechanic. They have, or if I'm at like a club, or if I'm backstage somewhere, or I'm in a VIP, they have no clue that, that I'm a welder. They think that I'm just something totally different. You know what I'm saying? So when I tell them I'm a welder, and they see me pull up in these cars, and I'm with these women, or whatever light that I'm doing at that point in time, I kind of kick it to them right there, like, hey, yo, I'm not no singer. I'm not an entertainer, you feel me? But I'm next to these people because I work hard and I make the money to be next to these people. You know what I'm saying? Entertainers, they don't build anything. They don't, not saying anything like that, but if entertainment just drop off the face of the earth right now, it will still be a need for welders. You know what I'm saying? So I kick it to them right there, like, hey, it's a skill that's needed. That's why I'm here in this club and this VIP, because I work 60 hours to be here and to do what I have to do. So like and this is why I look like this, because the younger generation is going to respect me with a flannel on. Well, this is just me anyway, but with a flannel on and my work boots on, they're gonna look at me like, man, you dirty. You know what I'm saying? We ain't trying to be no welder. So, I always make sure that I can like relate to the youth, you know what I'm saying? With me being an older woman now, thank God that the Lord, bless me like this. But I gotta relate to them. So I'm gonna give it to them, make sure I'm in their sight, and make sure they can know like you can do it.
How is it just lack of knowledge or lack of exposure to welding and other trades as career opportunities, or like is it just lack of awareness, or is there a stigma around
definitely
it?
A lack of awareness.
Okay.
It's definitely a lack of awareness. And it's old this racist saying like, pull up by your bootstraps. That old saying, you heard that, B? Like, you gotta pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But bitch, if you don't got no boots or no straps, just like when you get a job, you gotta go to Walmart, get your steel toes and whatever. Like, if there's nothing to pull on, you're just gonna go down. You know what I'm saying? So the welding industry is very much so monopolized. It's just like the welders died. Like the old school welders died with their stinger in their hand. They didn't even teach their kids how to weld. You know what I'm saying? Because they knew how special it was. So at this point in time, the welding industry needs my culture right now. It's not, we need it. Like, you can't not teach us no more about it. For real.
Yeah. 100%. The welding industry, mechanic industry, plumbing, construction, all of these trades, like, they need people.
Yeah.
They need people, period. They are so hurting for people. And yet there's still this, well, but I don't want to hire a woman, or and sometimes I feel like, and maybe tell me if you've experienced the same thing, like sometimes management, like upper management, is all about bringing in whoever. It's the hiring person or the people on the floor that are not with it.
Right? Yeah. It's the politics. It's the politics. People don't want to get judged. I mean, people are very scared of a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? So it's always the workers that got a problem, but the boss understands the actual, the actual goal. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, hey, like, you have to kind of, you got to work with it. You got to work with it. You got to see where you fit at, so, and you fit anywhere, just as long as they're like, just not like disrespectful, it's going to be hard because that's the industry.
Unfortunately, right? Like, and we hope it'll change. I feel like there's been a lot of effort put into like, how do we attract more women and minorities to these industries? Like, how do we attract them to the industries? How do we spread the word? How do we let them know about these jobs? But if the industry hasn't made space for us yet, if they haven't accepted us yet, then we leave, right? Like, I don't know if you've experienced this or seen this. Like, I see a lot of women coming into mechanical, and then after like 4 years, they're like, this isn't worth it. This is too hard. Right. Not the work, but the dealing with the people. And so we lose them because we haven't made space for them within the industry. Do you see that in welding as well?
Oh, absolutely. And it's just not with women, it's just people. A lot of people just can't handle it, Yeah, I've seen it. But at this point in time, they need us. So right. I look at it like, man, just keep working. They need you. They need you. Like Becca winners can't be choosers. God damn. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, so I look at it like that now. Like, hey, you need me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm here to do my job. If I don't fit in your box when it comes to like, the politics side, well, you're not gonna get your shit welded. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yep, 100%, right? And it's gonna come a time, like I feel like we're coming to a crisis point in this country where we're not gonna have people to fix the things that make the world go round, and at a certain point, like
it's gonna crumble.
Right? So
it's gonna cave in. Sure is.
Than ever.
Yeah, okay, it's gonna crumble. People gonna get hurt. It's gonna be serious.
The infrastructure, the cars, the everything, right?
It's gonna get serious, because ain't no robots that can do our jobs. You know what I mean? Like they can help out, but ain't no robots for all this AI and all this. It ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? We might gotta worry about that at the grocery store, but it will always be humans building. You know what I mean? Because that's just it. So I think we just gotta, man, listen, man. If we gotta knock on the door, we just gotta kick the door down. You know what I mean? Now we gotta mob up outside, you know what I mean, and just get it done. You know what I'm saying? Because it can't go on like this anymore.
Yeah.
It can't. They're not gonna make the money that they want if they don't let more people in.
So let me ask you something. If you had the ear of industry, right? If right now, let's pretend in the audience listening to this is, folks who are decision makers within the industry, are folks who can determine what the culture within the shops and out in the field are, and maybe you have the ear of people who are working in the field. What do you tell them? What do we need to do differently to be better?
Hey, people just need to get over their own insecurities. People need to get to the new age. Nothing stays the same. You know what I'm saying? So it might have started off all one color, but it got to end multicolor. I mean, that's just what it is. You can't keep nothing to yourself, So I think if they just open their minds, and kind of focus on the logic of it, like, oh, this person can weld, this person can fix cars, this person can do whatever they need to do for my company. Let me just hire them, give them an opportunity without putting any of their personal thoughts into it. You know what I'm saying? So I think people just need to open up and get over the old way, because that way isn't anymore. It's too much knowledge out here. It's too much. It's not going to last. It's just not going to last. Like, it's not. So It's going to just be a whole bunch of, just fighting and shit. You know what I'm saying? But you need your work done. The logic is you need this built. Hire the people. Give them an opportunity. You feel me? That's it. That's really that simple, and don't breach contracts and and make them feel like shit while they there, you know what I'm saying? So they can mess up
professionalism? Be professional?
Yeah, at least stick by the code. They try to derail, go crazy, because it's all about the money. Neither one of us is bigger than money, so
how can someone like me, or I'm not a person of color, I'm a white woman, like I said, I have a taste of what it's like to be a minority, but it's just a small taste of it, but I'd like to consider myself an ally, and I'm sure there are a lot of white men who would like to see themselves as allies, somebody who wants to see more diversity and wants to support women and people of color within the industry. What can they do? What are some actionable items that you would like to see these folks doing?
Y'all got to come together, right? And then when y'all come together, y'all got to make sure that y'all bring us with y'all. You know what I mean? Because if it's already in your hands, right? Let's say this, even now, with me being historic, because I'm literally a historic welder right now, but people will still, not give me the same opportunities. You see my face everywhere, you know, when it comes to it, but I don't have the same opportunities as my counterparts at all. You know what I'm saying? So they might use my face, but they're not giving me any generational money or anything that can like help me out personally other than representation. And that's cool for me. You feel me? Because I've been in this industry making good money for years, you know, but when it comes to setting us up, you know what I'm saying, making sure we're straight and giving us a fair pay rate and make, you know, like that's what matters, you know. So yeah, you might can hire us for $15, $20 on your work site so you won't look racist, you know what I'm saying, but you know damn well that the dude next to him is making 45. That's crazy, you know what I'm saying. Or you might see me on a commercial and that's cool, but the people that's not on the commercial, the people that they're not hyping up, they're making the money, you know, with the same companies, you feel me, outside of this. So it's like, just don't use us, you know what I mean? Just don't use us just not to look racist. Like, set us up so we can, like, help the next generation. Like, you know, like y'all, like, a lot of people do. I'm not even just going to say white people. It's not even about white or black. It's just about communities that work together. Let's say that. Like, yeah, like help us out. Just don't, you know, just don't use us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's really it. And put us on. You know what I'm saying? Like, put us on to this. Fight those people in these companies that's just like, oh yeah, like, yeah, that's cool. Send her a shirt or something, and let's do something with him or her face or whatever. But don't give them no knowledge. Don't put them on a tour. Don't, you know what I mean, send them to schools, you know, and we can see all this. Like, we can see all this online. Like, who's doing what, who's getting sponsored by who, endorsements. Tell me one black welder that's getting endorsed or sponsored or pushed like that.
You.
Right.
You. But
yeah, that's cute.
it's
cute.
one of those things where it's like, you know, it's a step in the right direction where, like, even if it is out of guilt and I don't want to appear racist as a company, that I'm gonna, you know, put a person in a position of visibility because it makes me look good as a company, right? Even if their motivation or reasoning for doing that is wrong, it's still a step in the right direction because it does increase that visibility. And I think if she can see it, she can be it. If he can see it, he can be it. That your face being visible, whether, you know, you deserve that to be there because you're skilled and you're experienced and you're talented and you've been rocking it in this industry for a long time. But whatever their motivation is for hiring you or using your face, like, whether their motivation is wrong or not, I think there's still a benefit to your visibility. The next
absolutely.
step, right? But like, that's like the first step though, right? Like, the next step is like, let's actually welcome people regardless of what they look like and not have it be a thing.
Back
them. I think that's one of the biggest things I've seen on the mechanical side is there's a lot of gatekeeping of information in general. Like, the men do it to each other too, right? You said like the old guys, they die with their skills in their hands, right? Like, I'm not letting go of this. So they gatekeep in general, but they gatekeep specifically when it comes to women and specifically to other outsiders, people of color, that they don't want to have there. And so I think from what I'm hearing from you and what I've experienced myself is like, what we need from other allies is like, make space for us. Like, make space for us, promote us, share your knowledge, and bring us all up with you when you have that opportunity. Like, if you see a person of color or a woman out in the trades and they're a minority, like, give them the opportunity. Like, give them the opportunity to learn more skills and promote them and put them out there and create space for them, you know?
Agreed. Yeah, definitely create space, but just open the door. Just open the door, you feel me, and let us work. You know what I'm saying? And it will be a better place. But until then, I mean, let's go. I'm down for the representation. You're gonna see more of that. coming in. Because I've been kind of focusing on that this year. That's why I haven't been doing podcasts. That's why I'm so happy to be on your podcast, because now I'm kind of relaxed a little bit,
Yeah, you got a bunch of stuff happening. You got a bunch of stuff kicking off right now, don't you? Do you want to talk a little bit about all this fun new stuff that you've got going on?
Man, yo, I mean, other than, with Miller's dope, I'm working with a dope company in New England with the prisoners. I have a lot of, just a lot of dope things. Like, it's just like, I just a lot of dope things, man. But it's more so of me getting people into welding. It's not like, anything crazy exciting, but it's more so seminars and meetups, and making sure, like, I'm present where, these women and where any welders is at. I'm trying to be there so they can see that I support them regardless of all the things that we talk about. I still support, and I do most of these things free when it comes to representation. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I got a lot of big things. You're going to see me soon, like, on your telly. So hopefully that will change and that will open up a little bit more too.
I love it. You have so much fun stuff going on. I just looked up at the clock. It has almost been a full hour. I want to be respectful of your time. Are you okay with us going a little bit over the hour? Because I feel like this hour went by like, and we had technical difficulties and we've been chatting.
Come on, B.
Okay. All right. Beautiful. Can you talk a little bit more about what you're doing in the prisons? Because I think that's really exciting what you're doing. I love how you say, like, it's just about creating opportunities and it's not nothing glamorous or nothing big deal. It is a big deal. It's a huge deal. What you're doing is huge. Like, can you talk a little more about Well Jointed, about what you're doing in the prisons? Like, what's coming down the line?
What's coming down the line is definitely getting into the prison systems, helping people that might not see it. Television is coming down the line. So I can have a bigger a bigger face out there, for sure. And definitely opening it up to my community, to the arts of welding. And a lot of people be like, well, you're a welder, how does that mix with the arts? And it does. So it's more so me breaking into my community when it comes to the LGBTQ community, when it comes to the hip hop community, when it comes to the arts. I'm more so focusing in on that, so that's basically what's going on. And of course, me recruiting and teaching and placing people in jobs where they need to be. That's my everyday. So yeah, I mean, with the yeah, I can't speak on certain things with that, but you will see it soon for sure.
Okay.
You will see it.
All right. So everybody who is watching, who listens to this later, who watches this later, you got to go follow this woman. Keep up with what she's got going on, because she's got a lot of really cool stuff going down the line. Where can people find you, Patrice? Where should they follow you? Where can they keep up on your latest and greatest and what's happening in your world?
Man, you can find me on the gram, man. I'm like a gram girl. Catch me on the gram, you know what I'm saying? But nah, I'm like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, your local strip club. I mean, I'm there. You know what I mean? Try to recruit. You know what I'm saying? They got metal. They got bars at the strip. So
fair point.
Your local museums, anything like festivals and things coming down the line, I'm going to try to be there, awesome. Just to represent the trades.
And you have a website as well.
Oh yeah. Oh yep. Yeah. Welljointed.com for sure. That's definitely always up and popping. But I'm here. I'm very, I'm in reach. I'm here. Shit. I'm outside. It's the summertime, B. So I'm outside. Okay. So.
And there may be something coming in the near future. Patrice and I may be doing some collaboration on something. So stay tuned. So both of us, because is it August?
Oh
Is it
yeah, the
August?
meet and greet. Oh yeah. The meet and greet on the beach. Shout out to all the welders that's watching this. Y'all want to come to Atlantic City, August 5th, 6th, that weekend. I'm definitely gonna be there. I'm gonna have some dope people from the trades, dope people from like the art world, music, and like painters, a whole bunch of bike riders. We're gonna get, a
Yeah.
couple people together and we're gonna chill on the beach and talk
And I'm
about
gonna do
just
my
life.
best to be there because I want
Yeah,
to support what you're
Jersey
doing. And
girl.
I love your approach to this because it is about exposure, right? And in like I wasn't exposed to being to mechanics as a career path. I definitely wasn't exposed to welding as a career path when I was a kid. I wish I'd known about welding when I was younger because I love it. Like I'm new to it. I'm a baby in welding, but I am loving it. And I wish that I'd been exposed when I was younger. I would have gone down that path maybe. But I love that you're taking this approach of, how can we expose people to this work in a way that's not traditionally been done for exposing people to
Absolutely.
this work? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely taking a different route. Like I'm not really worried about the welding industry right now because they made it clear, very clear that, that they don't really want to um help me out like that. They want to show me off, but they don't really want to help me. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm just gonna focus on the people and the things that I love, like music and art. Like I'm gonna go to them and get their support, and bring
Yeah.
it out a little bit more because the welding industry is just an old ass industry and that's just it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go a whole different route and take the other half of myself that's not a welder and go into these industries with the people that I already knew, that I'm just when it comes to dance, it comes to gold, it comes to whatever it is. I'm reaching out to those people so now we can collab, but yeah, I'm kind of not really off the welding industry like that anymore. When it comes to representation and making my company go out a little bit farther, is kind of like, you kind of see exactly what they want and what they want, so,
Yeah.
and I'm a
Well,
part
and
of it. I am a
yeah.
part of it, but I'm not what that is, so I'm going to reach out and go to the people that is, people outside of welding, period.
I feel you, and I feel like it's this thing of if they won't make space for us as women, as people of color, as any other minority, like if the industry won't make space, then we have to make our own space,
Yeah,
right? And like just
absolutely.
show up. And I feel like the more we attract people to these industries, the more they show up in numbers. And the reality is, like you've said many times, the more in need these trades are for people. Like eventually, like it has to, right? Like things have to shift.
I mean, or should go down. I mean, I don't
Right,
know.
right,
Or the
right.
infrastructure in America go down. I mean, what you want to do?
And
Like
then
what you
hopefully
want to
that will
do?
beget change, right? Hopefully.
Yeah, like or you grab a handrail going to church and
Right.
you on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you want? You know what I mean? So, I mean, sometimes you gotta go there for
Yeah.
them to change. But I think our generation, like, I was born in '85, so I think our generation is a little bit different from our past generations. Like, we
Yeah.
have a more broader outlook. We don't really look at color. I don't meet any
I'm
racist
a little older
people.
than you, just
Right,
a
right.
little.
But what I'm saying is,
But yeah.
right. We don't, we didn't grow up. I didn't grow up with color. Even my friends didn't grow up with color like that. So it's more so like the older people kind of getting over their ways, and then all the
Yeah.
minions that's following it is not the right thing. It's
Yeah.
not a good thing, and it's not going to end well. It's definitely not going to end well. So you might as well just let us in. And
And I
women
do
is the best. We're the best welders. So,
I have heard even like old white men testify to that, say that women naturally make better welders. Like
absolutely.
the hand-eye coordination, like I've heard that often. So you're
Mhm.
not you're not wrong there. And I think I'm excited about the future generation because, kind of to your point, like there's less and less in these future generations of seeing jobs as gendered, seeing jobs as, belonging to certain races or certain classes or certain whatevers, right? Like
Right.
there's less and less of that. Like I've said a million times, like I tell a 50-year-old man I'm a mechanic and he's like, "You're what?" But I,
Right.
right? But I tell a 10-year-old boy I'm a mechanic and he's like, "Cool."
Oh. Right, right. Do. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Like ain't no thing. Yeah.
Right.
So hopefully times are changing, hopefully, but I applaud everything that you are doing to increase visibility, increase awareness, to spread the good word about these trades. And I want to say to folks who are listening, like, yes, sometimes it sounds like I am like being down on the trades and like the sexism and the racism and the isms that exist within the trades, and it sounds like I'm being down on them. But the reality is I'm being down on the trades because I love them.
Right.
Like, because I love the trades, I want to see them thrive and be the best that they can be. And it
Right.
hurts me when I see all of the negativity that exists within the trades. And so, where I'm coming from, where I feel like Patrice is coming from, correct me if I'm wrong, is a place of like, I love you, trades, and I want you to be the best you can be. And this is how you can improve. And this is where I
Absolutely.
see we have room for growth.
Yeah, I think that's the only way it will improve.
Yeah.
That's the only way. If you equal out the playing field.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. I want to be respectful of your time. We've already gone 10 minutes over. So, my final question for you, you have the opportunity to speak to little baby Patrice or another little girl like you out there in the world. What are your words of wisdom, of advice, of
Hmm.
whatever to her?
Hey, listen. Own the skill, man. Just own the skill. Once you got the skill down, you can go anywhere in the world. That's it. Just own it. Practice. The same people that we're talking about, all the isms, all those people, hey, you take their skill. Take the skill that they daddy taught them and they uncle taught them, and you master it, and you travel the world and you live your life, Don't give up. Just own the skill. That's it. Because they can't take away that. They can't take away your skill. So I'm going to say own it, master it, and ship it out, That's it. And stay happy and stay on your journey. Don't let this old shit bother, There's people here like me and yourself that's, out here fighting. So like, yeah, just own it. That's why I would tell myself, a younger me or a young girl, master the skill, be the best at what you do and get that money.
I love it. I love it. I feel like you and I could talk for another like 2 hours. But I'm
That
not gonna do I'm not gonna do that to you. We're gonna talk more offline. I feel like we need to have more conversations like these because I feel like, we are starting to see change in the industry, in the world. It's slow going sometimes. It's not as fast as we want it to be. But these kinds of conversations are the seeds and where change starts to happen, is the more we can talk about all of these things and these difficult topics and conversations. So, thank you for your willingness to join me on here. Thank you for your willingness to talk about some not so easy to talk about topics. And I'm grateful. I hope folks at home, I hope that you enjoyed this conversation. I think we need to have more of these topics and conversations in the future. Go out and do amazing things in the world. I'm so grateful, Patrice. You're phenomenal. Keep doing what you're doing. You are knocking down doors and doing big things. Folks at home, make sure you follow her and keep up with everything that she's doing. I got to do a big thank you to our sponsor, Drive Time, for helping make this series possible. Without them, this would be much more challenging to continue doing. So thank you to them. Thank you to all of you at home for joining us and spending an hour, a little over, of your Wednesday evening or whenever you are listening to this. You can catch this on YouTube from here on forth, and you, of course, can catch this anywhere where you can get your podcasts. I just discovered that there's this thing called rating podcasts. So make sure
right.
you rate this podcast on Spotify, iTunes, whatever you listen to podcasts on. Make sure you
Rate it.
like, make sure you subscribe. Come back every Monday night and every Wednesday night. So every Monday night, we have an archive episode. This coming week, we have an automotive journalist this Monday. Her episode aired about 3 years ago. She was the first female editor-in-chief of a big automotive magazine. So she's a rock star. Yes, ma'am. And then Wednesday, we have another very exciting guest, a female mechanic from Brazil. So yeah. So we're going international. So make sure you make sure you subscribe, make sure you stay tuned to keep up with her two hands. Go make something amazing in the world, and remember to create space and hold space for others in all of your journeys. Again, Patrice, thank you. Until next time, guys, be good to yourselves, be good to one another, and we'll see you next time.